All right, hello everyone. Welcome to another thoughtfully stimulating episode of Every Last Record, a music club for the purposeful music listener. I'm your host Noel, and with me today we have Zeus.
What's going on, y'all? It's Big Z.
Marcus.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
Paris.
It's great to be alive on a Wednesday night.
Flo.
Yo, what's good, everybody?
Harley.
Here I am.
Joelle.
Yo.
Leo.
My favorite track on this album is Family Business. You know, just want it on the record.
And today, Marcus will be leading the discussion on The College Dropout by Kanye West. Marcus, please take it away.
Gotcha. So as always, we have an icebreaker. So the icebreaker is describe a time you've experienced imposter syndrome and what restored your confidence and how, right? So keep in mind this can be a way of thinking, a practice, a community, etc. Right? So again, describe a time you experienced imposter syndrome, what restored your confidence and how. Somebody can go ahead, take it away.
I feel like imposter syndrome is something that I experience, or I feel like I experience it daily in my career. You know, I somehow managed to put myself in a place where like people come to me for like advice, and like I'm supposed to guide people through their like journey in healthcare and things like that.
You became important at work. That's
unfortunately, and I never signed up for this.
You are Dr. Checo.
But yeah, I think especially the first year of me working, I found myself like feeling that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? And I think it's just being comfortable with that idea that nobody really knows what they're doing, but you know, if you've done the work, if you've like put in the hours and you've stayed the course, like I know that I know what I'm doing now, and there's moments where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? But I know that I have it in me to be able to, you know, overcome whatever challenge I need to do. Now I just like, I think I've put in enough reps that I'm like, okay, even if I don't know something, I can find the answer, or I can put in the work to figure it out.
I have a word for what you're describing, but I'm going to share it when everybody else kind of chimes in.
Cool.
I'll go next. I definitely feel like I probably have to agree with Harley, because at work, I feel like that's really the only place I can't 100% be myself. What's the term? Damn.
Like code switching?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Code
switching. So when I'm at work, I have to put on my corporate voice. You know what I mean? And I have to.
Can we hear it?
I would love to hear it. Flo's corporate voice.
Hey guys, Flo here.
We've heard your regular flow voice, but we also heard sex operator flow voice.
Nah, I mean, it's not too. What I don't even know what I would say. Yeah, so basically the projects that I've been working on and like you enunciating OD, you know what I mean? Like it's just
Enunciating OD is hilarious.
That's so real.
I have a question. Is that Adam at work, or is it?
nah. They call me Big Boss.
Easy there.
They call me Big Alex.
No. Yeah, it's Adam. That's my corporate name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like, you know, based on the conversations that I have at work and the things that I find funny, or the things that, like, I'm not too personable at work. Of course, I'm personable with my coworkers. Yeah, I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, yo," like somebody's smiling at work. But it's just, you know, you have to put yourself in. Not that I change like my morals or anything like that, but it's just like, in terms of how I feel comfortable and who I am as a person, I don't fully get to embrace that in my current work atmosphere. So I would say,
That makes sense.
Okay. This is gonna sound probably depressing as fuck, but honestly, with anything in my life, like whether it's something as being a friend, a partner, but mostly like a creative, so to speak. I mean, you know, I've done everything from photography to obviously now we're doing podcasting, and then on the side I do content creation. I was gonna say work, but I feel like that's just like a staple for like a lot of us in the workforce. But when it comes to creation, yes, because I think a lot of time while I'm just making like fashion content, which I don't think I'm curing cancer or anything like that, but there's a level to it when you're in these rooms. If you go to these events, sometimes being a black creator specifically, you feel like you don't belong at all. Like in menswear, you don't feel like you belong. You see all these other guys, these models, and you're like, damn, I'm just a little, I'm a kid from like the Bronx, from New York. It's just like, why am I don't know if I deserve to be at some of these events. But then I'm able to speak with people that are also from my community, and that's a big problem we all have. But all that to say is like, I think that's a time, like being a creative in menswear, and also like a creative in general, like I think we could all get in our heads a lot. But really the whole thing is just, I think like Harley said, like none of us really know what we're doing. I think a lot of the times is like we're all making it up as we go along. I think some of the best creatives even do that. They fake it till they make it. But also you need to have the confidence to stand up and really look yourself in the mirror, and you got to be like, yo, like what you're doing is the stuff that you want to do. You have to wake up and like the shit that you were making, or like who you are, and then everything else is going to come after that. So like always instill confidence in yourself. It's something I'm still learning to this day. It's definitely a hard thing to do, and I'm not ashamed to say that as somebody that is 31 years old. Like I'm just now finding my confidence, and it's a journey. But all that to say, like as a creative, I think imposter syndrome is almost like an add-on. It's almost like an amplifier. It's like gonna be with you at all times. It's like an organ. Like it's just, you're always gonna be like second guessing everything you do, and like feeling either embarrassed to do something, or you're gonna feel just like you don't deserve to be in a certain space, or this, that, and the third. But really it's just getting out of your own head and stop being your own worst enemy and just get out there.
Thank you for your vulnerability, good sir.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that a pretty like exacerbated experience for me is like going to college at the age of 27. Like I graduated high school at like 18ish, and just like entered the workforce, like started living on my own, doing my own thing. And then at the age of 27, like I was really curious to like just have conversations with people about the kind of what we're doing here. I was just really hungry for something like this where I could talk about the things I was really interested in. So joined community college, and I mean, I think that's where it like started peaking, where I was feeling a little bit like, am I like smart enough? There's always this feeling for me that that's the only reason I didn't go to college for like over a decade, is like, am I smart enough to do this? Like, can I actually get through school, or, will I crash and burn? And I think it's because like the way that I grew up was so what I perceived from like the media and like dominant narratives in America. I perceived my life to be so untraditional and so different from everybody else. And I felt like because of that, I could not succeed in those realms, because I saw everybody that went to college on TV like had parents that were like setting them up to go to college, and we're talking about college at home and all these things. And then funny enough, when I got to BMCC, shout out to CUNY, I realized that so many people that were in school with me like had the same kinds of experiences, and yet found themselves there and were really curious and really interested in talking about like all of these different like topics, and like we're looking for how to like amplify their own lives through institutions. And I mean, like fast forward now to like me honestly joining community college just to like be amongst community, to now being like at the super like ridiculous institution, like being in an Ivy League institution, and like having to go into a deeper experience with that, and feeling like, oh, am I good enough still? Like, can I hack it at this like predominantly white institution where everybody's families literally are like those people I saw on TV, and now I'm literally the outcast. Like, whereas in BMCC, I finally like found a community of people who like had my same experiences. And even here at Brown, like and a lot of Ivy League schools, people who are Black and brown, where I was coming from, New York City, I could assume probably lived a life just like me. That is not the case here. Like, you meet a lot of Black and brown people who grew up in a very different economic bracket than you did, with a very different lifestyle. And so that has been an adjustment period. But I would say, like, always coming back to the fact that, like, I belong. My, like, unique experiences are the reasons why I belong. My perspective is needed. I'm literally in classes where we're talking about topics, colonialism, racism, like certain like class differences, where I'm like, oh, I've lived this. Like, I don't need to pull from theory. I could literally talk about my lived experiences. And I think that I think adds a particular like weight and importance to. So yeah, I don't know. Coming back to myself, coming back to the community, the people around me, I think has always been really helpful.
Thank you. Appreciate the shout out for CUNY and community colleges in general. I appreciate that. It's so ironic for an album called The College Dropout, but yeah.
Indeed.
I feel like I'm always drawing from like my work experience, because I didn't graduate college. I kind of just started working and like kind of had to like, build up from zero essentially. And I always felt like people who were in charge of me, like my managers, directors, or whatever, were always like, I feel like I had always had the thought that they were there because of a reason. Like, they were better than me. It's like, oh, they're there because they have more experience, and so they're good at their jobs. And I always had that imposter syndrome of like, I can't speak up almost like against them, or like really give them feedback or be critical of their work, because they obviously know better than me. And that even came through to the job that I have now, where I present to my C-suite at times, and I'm always like, oh, if you're that level, then obviously like anything you say is law, which, to a point it is. And like, you can't bring up like groundbreaking ideas, quote unquote. But just through, my confidence grew just when I started taking those risks of being like, you know what, I am going to step my foot forward and provide my thoughts that I do believe, even if I'm the only person that believes it, are good ideas. And, seeing how they've been received and how they've worked out in the long run, has given me the confidence of like, hey, yeah, like, just because someone's above you doesn't mean necessarily they're going to shoot down your idea, that their way is the only way, right? And you have to be confident in taking, speaking up and speaking your thoughts and taking those risks, even when, other people perhaps don't always seem as open to giving you that opportunity.
In terms of imposter syndrome, I'm gonna be honest. I've kind of like, almost to the tune of what Paris was saying, I've like always had imposter syndrome. I still have imposter syndrome. It's kind of in all facets of my life. When I was like young, and it comes down to, being a little vulnerable. Like, I have social anxiety, and you may not think it because, I'm a loud, big personality, and I talk and I make jokes and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm like weird around people. It's just that, like, I don't really have spaces where I feel like I fit in all the way every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, parts of me do, and different aspects of myself, but like, it's not like I always feel like, I'm always with like completely, people that are just like me, because I feel like I'm weird sometimes. In a lot of good ways. When I was younger, in school, I definitely stood out because like I wasn't like the popular kid. Same in like, high school to many extents as well. In my family, I was the youngest of 3 siblings, and they were all much older than me. And so it's like in my family, there was a big age disparity. So it wasn't like I was in too many like, instances where it's like I fit in with a lot of people. College and definitely work too. Like, I've always felt imposter syndrome at work. I always felt like, damn, like I didn't really get internships. People tend to think that like, because I'm at my place in my life, which I'm very blessed to be in, that like I did some magical things. I did everything right. I have kids from my college hit me up, and I'm just like, yo, bro, I had nothing. I literally just went to work and just like tried and clawed my way up. And the way I dealt with imposter syndrome, completely honestly, is just I believe in myself wholeheartedly. Like, ever since I was younger, even when I didn't feel like I fit in, I didn't know what to do, I didn't have any guidance in a lot of aspects of my life, I always trusted myself. I always looked in the mirror and been like, yo, I'm gonna get through it. Like I really trust my mind. I really trust the way I think about things. I really trust like, the people I can call friends. I really trust the people that I love. And so it's like, and I trust my ability to always find a way out of any kind of like rut I'm in. I've always had to overcome hardship and kind of put my brain, to use and put two and two together. So it's like, I really, always want to tell people like, be the kind of person you want to admire. Be the kind of person you aspire to be. And that's kind of how I live my life. That's my life mantra. Like, I may go into work and feel like, damn, I don't like none of these people. I don't like what I do. I may go out and be like, yo, these people are weird as hell. I don't fit in. But at the end of the day, it's like, I love myself, and everybody has an internal journey. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has an internal struggle. You never know what anybody's going through. So just, trust yourself and understand the fact that everybody might feel like an imposter. It's not just you. Other people might have their own struggles. Other people might have their own things they're going through. Other people may not know what 2 and 2 is. And that's okay. It might be a room full of strangers and they may all feel like, they don't belong. But as long as you make a community of as long as you put yourself out there, in terms of like, being like a good person, loving person, like, and you become the community, then even if you don't feel like you fully, belong somewhere, you can still find people around you, to call your own. So that's kind of how I operate life. It's just like, trusting myself. And that's how I deal with imposter syndrome every day.
Nah, I really appreciate that. I think what Matt, you said and what Paris said about like, yeah, there may be like specific environments that we experience imposter syndrome, but like at its core root, like sometimes you can feel that in any environment, which I think is a part of it is like obviously like it's systemic because we're all people of color here, to be completely honest. But if we're just talking about just internally, right, like some of the things that can pop up is like code switching, as what Flo said. Right. And I think there's a level of like understanding when it comes to kind of getting over that is like, obviously, like just from a therapy and counseling standpoint, like if there are things that you are feeling as far as like fear of failure, self-doubt, like so on and so forth, like you owe it to yourself to kind of regulate some of that stuff. So there's a variety of things that you can kind of do, like code switching is one of those things, but that's along the lines of fitting in and kind of fitting in where you're trying to be professional when you really just do want to be Flo. Like you just do want to be Flo. Like, what does it mean? Like, what does it mean for me to like kind of have different dialects? Like, as long as you understand what I'm trying to say, like, as long as I'm not being rude or you don't feel offended, like we're good. You're going to understand what I'm saying regardless. And I think one of the things that like that kind of popped up for me, because I teach about imposter syndrome like for freshmen. So one of the popular words that you end up getting to is something called pluralistic ignorance, right? Is understanding that everybody is going through the same thing, right? Harley, I see you picking up your mic.
Is that what I was talking about?
Yeah. Everybody was kind of talking about it, right? Like understanding that like we are all just kind of floating and kind of, we will never truly understand whether we are imposters or not because we don't know what somebody else is going through, right? And the reality of it is being vulnerable is the biggest way to kind of get through like that pluralistic ignorance that I'm referring to before, right? Is when we talk about stuff like this, as far as like, all right, like, do you feel like you're worthy of these opportunities, right? And where's that doubt coming from? And oh, like I'm experiencing that too, right? Like, and the reality of it is like you rebuild yourself up to what Matt said is like, nah, like I love myself enough to know that I deserve a lot of these opportunities, right? And you know who does deserve a lot of these opportunities, or who has like I've never experienced somebody like, especially like just understanding somebody's journey that has not experienced imposter syndrome in a music industry is like honestly Kanye. Like if I'm being real, but Harley, you had a question?
No.
I also like didn't even share my own like kind of contributions, but I think I kind of resonate with what Matt and Paris said about just always feeling like an imposter, right? And sometimes like for me, what happens is like you kind of constantly are in a perpetual state of trying to prove yourself, right? Which I think is very interesting. But to Joelle's point, it started in college for sure, right? Where you're trying to fit in, you're trying to make friends, you're trying to feel like you belong. And a lot of those kind of things kind of pop up. And I think what ends up being unique is you start to figure out, like, you start moving through the world with the love that you have, right? Whatever that may be. And you end up embracing that a lot more and embracing yourself as a person that is worthy of opportunity, love, to be your authentic self, all the above, right? And as I said before, like, what better place to kind of transition from this would be the beginning of Kanye West's journey, to be honest with you, right? So I'm gonna be honest with you. I was trying to do like an album spotlight, and as I'm listening to the album, I heard Last Call, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't need an album spotlight. Like, honestly, like, you could really just go to or listen to Last Call. I do have a artist spotlight though. And I am a note taker, so I'm just going to read directly from what I have, right? So upon establishing himself as a producer from the ages of 16 to 21, which is roughly around the mid to late 90s, Kanye became a well-known producer in Chicago as a music prodigy, right? At the time, he was producing full-length albums. I think there's an underground artist by the name of Grav from Chicago, collaborating with a variety of local and well-known artists such as Common, Foxy Brown, Jay-Z, and all of Rockefeller, if I'm being honest, Raekwon, Eminem, Mason, Harlem World, Alicia Keys, etc. I'm probably forgetting many. You guys will for sure help me out with everything that I'm missing.
Don't forget, really though, he's next up.
Yes.
Even messed up, bro.
Even credited for his first platinum record, all before the age of 25, which is Jermaine Dupri. Kanye would go on to become, and this is probably an opinion, this might be a fact, but probably arguably one of the greatest artists of our generation, releasing multiple albums that we could call classics and revolutionary to the direction of where we see hip hop today. So that includes Late Registration, Graduation, 808s and Heartbreaks, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Yeezus, Life of Pablo, the list goes on. And of course, his contributions in fashion, and challenging what it means to not only be a rapper, right, a rhythm and poetry artist, but also an artist in general. And despite controversy in the public eye, Ye, or formerly known as Kanye, is a living historical figure in hip hop, fashion, and Black culture. Am I missing anything?
In terms of are you gonna get into the album background?
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but go ahead if you want to share. Go ahead.
Nah, because I was gonna say, like, one interesting quote from Donda herself, Kanye's mom, was the fact that obviously the college dropout is attributed to the fact he dropped out of college. She dropped out of college, that his mom taught at because she's a professor.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, and she was very displeased by this. But I have a quote from her where she said, "It was jumped into my head that college is the ticket to a good life, but some career goals don't require college. For Kanye to make an album called The College Dropout, it was more about having the guts to embrace who you are rather than following the path society carved out for you." Which I feel like that's like the thesis of the album. Like, for me, is the fact that, like, not following the designated path that was laid before you, and just, like, kind of like doing your own thing because you trust yourself. And, like, that is something that was instilled in me from the time I was like 9 years old when I first heard Kanye West. And, like, literally my lifelong mantra is, like, what I learned about this album when I was such a young age. Just, like, trusting myself to, like, follow my own path. And so I feel like that's a beautiful thesis to, like, the album.
I'll also just add on to that and say I think that this was the starting point for Ye to kind of defy the odds, so to speak. Something that I do unfortunately think has carried him throughout his entire career, but we'll start here and, like, highlight that, is that the Rockefeller team and a lot of people that were in these rooms, some of who would be collaborators on this album, told him that he was strictly a producer rapper. They told him, like, you can't rap. We don't want you to rap we don't want you to rap first and foremost. We don't want you to make an album. Like, we're not funding this. Like, we don't want to do that. And if we do it, we're going to just, like, put a bunch of features on it to drown you out and just sell it as, like, a rock compilation album. What happened was he heard all of that. He heard all of that criticism, and he used it as his steam to power his self-esteem. And he winded up delivering what we'll be talking about. But I think that's a very important point, is that I think this was one of the starting points to Ye to kind of go against the grain, because not only was it in the music, but it was in the fashion. You know, I think this is when he was doing the preppy Ralph Lauren style that obviously was done in the 90s by the Lowlifes. Like we know that that's where he was influenced by, like the 90s style where people were going into polo and they were stealing them, and then, you know, obviously they were making it their own and like really putting at the forefront of black fashion and everything. And he wanted to pay homage to that. But also a lot of people back then, they were just wearing jerseys, tall tees, and that's it. Like anybody with a polo shirt, specifically a pink polo shirt, would be looked at as an oddball. So I think this was like the genesis of who we would see Ye become, somebody that just goes against the grain to prove his point.
Yeah, and also to add that, like, or to add to that, I think a lot of artists that are coming around or coming out are either like, it's I hate to use this term, but like it's like street hip hop, like quote unquote, right? It's from the hood, but like also Kanye's coming in and kind of giving a little bit of a different type of aspect, right? Like he is influenced by a lot of people who are practicing rhythm and poetry, right? That's how you get Yosembe, formerly known as Mos Def, Talib Kweli on the album, right? Like you could tell like he's heavily influenced by those people, but he also is welcoming and open to like all cultures of or all aspects of hip hop culture.
Yeah, one thing I want to, if y'all want to learn more about his journey before this album, I definitely recommend watching the Genius documentary on Netflix. It
Genius.
Yeah, that was solid.
Era, like right before College Dropout, when he's just trying to make it. Like, believe it or not, knowing Kanye is now, especially if you weren't like around back then, like you couldn't even get a record deal, bro. Like much to like what Paris was saying, like he got turned down by Capitol, got turned down by J Record, like Talib Kweli and Mos Def at the time put the word in for him. He couldn't get signed there, and like. Literally, most of his beats are from like 4 years prior. He's just been saving up his best beats for this album, and nobody really believed in him. You could look at some of the footage of him in the studio with like Scarface and Ludacris, and them not taking him seriously and being kind of like, you know, a little bit condescending, and he just brushes it off. The only person that really believed in him was Pharrell at the time, was another like producer, rapper and stuff, like in a different kind of lane. But it's just like showing like, you know, believe in yourself, and he just kept grinding. He's just like, yo, my album's gonna be the shit. And the only reason why he got a deal is because Dame Dash was like, I don't want him to go somewhere else.
He got tired. Yeah, he got tired.
He didn't want to lose, like, because Kanye, you know, he was
the in-house producer.
Yeah, he produced half of Blueprint, which is like, in my opinion, like one of the most important rap albums of all time, if not number one. So it's like, he produced that album, and like he produced shit for Benny Siegel and a bunch of other people. So it's like Dame Dash didn't want to lose an investment, so he gave him like a half-ass deal. And didn't even give him a marketing budget. So that's why he recorded through the wire out of his own pocket. You know what I'm saying? So it's like crazy to think about where he became now. Ended up winning a Grammy over Jay-Z himself. Like starting from a spot where no one believed in him. So it's like, you talk about like imposter syndrome. Like that's an instance where, you know, you don't let it get you down. You're just like, yo, like I believe in myself. Like I know I'm the shit. I know I'm great. People just need to hear it and experience it to see what I see in myself.
Yeah, yo, also, it's like watching the documentary, it's also like, I don't want to say it's sad, but like, it also just shows that like a lot of the stuff that ends up coming out in the album, just ends up being like showed in the documentary, right? Like you hear him trying to like rap, and for all intents and purposes, like I think this is like probably some of the hardest bars that you hear on an album for Kanye. And I think it's warranted by a lot of the people that's around him at this time. And he's really like good at rapping at this, like he's really good at rapping during this album, like in this album. And the reality of it is you consistently hear people asking about sending them beats. It's like actually annoying. It's so annoying. Like it's like, yo, but I'm trying to rap too, but like all you want is beats from me. Like it's like, it's
like,
very
imagine,
off-putting.
that's kind of like, imagine if like you're trying to be a model, and you did camera work, like you were somebody that had a camera, and like you were great for photo shoots. Now you're like, yo, I want to be a model, like I want to be in front of the camera. They'd be like, I don't want to hear about all that. Take this photo for me, man. Like, I would be pissed off.
In the bag, bro.
Yeah, I would be pissed off.
Put the fries in the bag, bro.
No, that's crazy. But the fact that he didn't give up on that either, that goes to speak to you know how confident he was in who he was, and again sticking on that page of going against the grain. You hear it throughout the album, obviously, but also like even in the skits, like both of the School Spirit skits and the Little Jimmy skit, like he's essentially making fun of college, you know. But like it's more so just be who you are, because in the skits, you know, he says, you know what's gonna keep me warm, these degrees. You know, we're just joking about that, but it's true, because like some people don't even live their lives because they feel that they have to fit into this path that's laid out for you by the world around you. You know what I mean? Like, you have to go to school for a certain amount of years. You got to chase a certain goal. You have to do these things and follow this exact structure to be successful. And you can't be successful without doing that. And he completely went against that and has been one of the most successful people in multiple generations.
Yo, College Dropout takes on a whole new meaning after exactly what you just said and what we spoke about, if I'm being completely honest. All right, so I guess anybody have anything else that y'all want to add about the album or album context?
I watched his performance on Def to the Poetry Jam.
Incredible.
It was recorded in 2003. His poem "Self-Conscious" that would become "All Falls Down," and it's amazing to see that performance. You know, just acapella, no production behind him, and not realize the incoming comet that's about to hit the world.
Facts. And it is so funny. Speaking of All Falls Down, I was going to say he was on record saying that he listened to Miseducation of Lauryn Hill every day while recording this album, because that was like one of his big inspirations, and that's how I found that album. That's why I was in this Lauryn Hill from such a young age. I wanted to find out what inspired him, because obviously he's my favorite artist at the time, and so it's like you could hear some of that like Lauryn Hill kind of like influence, and like he even talks about like, yo, bro, we were down south knocking on doors to kind of get the sample cleared, and stuff. Because again, he didn't have that big of a budget. Like they treated this album like a tax write-off. That's why I didn't have any marketing. It was not expected to sell. It sold like 500,000 the first week, and but like not a traditional gangster rap 50 Cent level like single in 2003, and like ended up winning Grammy over Hove. They did not believe in this album, and he. Kanye perfectionism. He delayed the album like 3 times because he kept remixing it, remastering it, adding on to it, taking out verses and stuff like that. There's like an ODB song that got taken off the album. There's a song called The Good and Bad and the Ugly that got taken off the album. He added songs back. It's just the perfectionism. You can see that especially in his later works too. But that's how we got the thing we got.
Yeah, I think Kanye is a great example of there's a book called A Give and Take. And it talks about like amassing like the hidden power of helping other people, and amassing an amount of favors, like a favor bank, right? So all of the times that he ended up giving people beats, right? Sometimes for free, obviously, like you got to pay rent and whatnot, right? Like, so that journey that led him up to College Dropout, right? He was able to bring in all of the people that he ended up helping out over the time, right? To help him create the project, right? Which I think is an incredible thing to say just about like what success means, right? Like sometimes you got to help other people to get your shot, right? And then sometimes you got to knock the door down if you don't get your shot, right? So I think that's an incredible story and journey that Kanye West has, like just creating the College Dropout. But I'm gonna take a second to just transition into first impressions. All right, so if anybody wants to kind of chime in.
All right. This album, actually, at first I didn't realize it until I thought back. Had a bigger impression on me than I thought. Because when it came out, it was February 2004. I was like 11, turning 12, right? So 6th grade, middle school, you don't really know who you are, but you start figuring it out a little bit. You start kind of, right? So the first song that he released as a single was Through the Wire, and I remember when I heard that, I was like, wow, this is actually kind of fire. And I grew up in a house where we listened to oldies and stuff like that, so hearing the Shaka Khan sample, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like, whatever, he flipped that, boom. Then I think he dropped Slow Jams after that, and I'm pretty sure we all grew up the same way. When we got home from school, I know me personally, I watch Rap City, and I'll watch 106 in Park, so I'm seeing all these things, and I'm like, yo, who is this Kanye dude? Like, he's 2 for 2 in my book so far. And Slow Jams was fire. And then he drops the album in February, and I remember at the time my dad had just gotten like a new PC, and we were he downloaded Napster and LimeWire, and that was one of the first CDs that I burned when I was able to find it. And the reason, and I didn't even like understand why I liked it so much when it came out, but I just was in love with the album. I thought the skits were mad funny. But one of the songs too, arguably his biggest single off the album is Jesus Walks. And so I'm Christian and I grew up a Christian, and I had never heard anyone talk about God on that level before, where it was everywhere. It was on the radio, it was on TV. Like there was controversy of like people were liked it and people hated it. You know what I mean? And I was like, yo, like this is crazy. Like, you know, I'm a young kid growing up in church, and I still believe in Jesus and I love Jesus. So hearing that, I was like, bro, it was the first time where I was able to relate to a major artist, because you know, my dad grew up listening. When we listened to hip hop, we would listen to Wu-Tang and Das Effects, KRS-One, stuff like that. You know, of course, all the New York artists, Jay-Z, whatever. But to hear somebody who was grounded, and you know, he talks about it a lot in this album. Like he's not talking about monies, cars, clothes, all of this, that. I mean, he does. He does. Don't get me wrong. He literally went by Louis Vuitton Don at
He's
one point.
Self-aware.
Yeah, before Kanye West, but he was very grounded and relatable, and I understood him from like a personal perspective. Like I said, this was 6th grade, so like you're kind of getting to that age where you understand a little bit more than you would, you know, at your younger years. And I'm like, damn, like this dude he's relatable, he's solid, like, and the music is fire. I don't know. So that first impression, like thinking back to it now, how like I wanted to burn it. I was talking to my friends about all the songs and stuff like that. Like I was like, damn, this is impactful, bro. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna follow that up and agree with what you said. I think this is the first kind of like version of rap music that felt like it was, you know, kind of closer to like real life things that we all experience more often versus like, you know, money, cars, clothes, all that stuff that he does eventually talk about. So like you said, the Jesus Walks song was an entry point for me as well, because it was like, that is interesting. Like that's, you've never heard that before. Like people talking about like rapping about God. Like that's kind of cool. And then like the fact that it's this like whole military thing, and
The video is crazy too. Like the video is insane.
white one you talking about?
Which one? There's 2 videos? Two of them things?
Oh, yeah, there's 3 videos.
There's 3 videos? Oh my gosh.
There's one that couldn't get aired because he would be at the Crown of Thorns and stuff, but there was 2 other versions. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes
But
sense.
it was cool. That's one of the things that caught my ear. I can't even tell you when I first heard this. It definitely was not in 2004 when it came out. Probably I would say like 07-ish. So my intro to Kanye was, I knew he had beef with 50 Cent. And there's this like whole big thing like
for the graduation.
Yeah.
His album,
I knew he had beef.
I was there.
106 in Park.
I had the magazine, bro. I had the magazine.
This is gonna be either funny or dumb, but when I first heard Through the Wire, I thought he was trying to sound like 50 Cent on purpose, because he sounded
That's actually mad funny.
The original Not Like Us or something? Why are you like this?
I thought he was making fun of 50 Cent because of the, you know, being shot and all that.
Yo, that's actually mad funny.
Until I didn't realize it until I brought it up to someone, and they're like, "No, bro, like he's literally like his jaw is like wired shut."
Meet the Jacksons.
That was an eye opener for me. But those are like kind of like my first like impressions of this that I remember like way back when. And for me, it was like an entry point to hip hop. Like I said, something that like, okay, I can kind of like, I mean, I was literally like, what, 10, 12 years old or whatever. But I can kind of see what like he's talking about. And like, you know, I've seen people like go through like, you know, just regular struggles, or like having a job and like they're like dead end job and they're like frustrated and stuff like that. So that was kind of my initial experience with it.
Okay. This is mad funny. So I've told some of you this backstory about me and Kanye, me and his music. So honestly, I hated it. I didn't like this at all. Like I didn't like this. I didn't like College Dropout when I first heard it at all, because I wasn't trying to hear no damn conscious rap, man. I wasn't trying to hear no Jesus Walks either. I was really a G Unit, Dipset, Locks, beats,
100%.
gangster rap. Like okay, I grew up with that music. My brother is a Jay-Z stan, so like in theory I should have liked it, but I just didn't because I just didn't relate to that stuff. And obviously I should have related to it because of back then. So he said he was in 6th grade. I was in 4th grade. So yeah, I just didn't.
Called you Unc, low key.
I didn't. Oh no, I ain't do all that.
2 years.
It's 2 years. Nah, I was in 4th grade, and like again, like where we were from, like we listened to nothing but like gangster, like street rap. So like I didn't like any of that stuff. And then I did hear Jesus Walks, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So when I first heard the album, I didn't enjoy it. I want to say I had an awakening once Late Registration came out. And once I heard Diamonds from Sierra Leone, I was like, okay, I was fucking bugging. Like this guy is like he's the truth. So then I heard that, I bought that and I heard it. So then I went back to College Dropout and I was like, oh my God, this is actually really good music. And it just so happened around that time 50 Cent was falling off a little bit. I mean, I like The Massacre, but it wasn't Get Rich or Die Trying good. So I felt like it was kind of like the changing of the guard. So then when I heard it that time and actually listened to it, and I was blown away. Like everything about this album, I think, is just incredibly made. Obviously, like the skits are funny, and that's very rare in rap. I feel like, especially like
Very rare.
It's very rare to like have every skit. Like you want to play that. You can't wait sometimes to get to some of these skits, which I think is very rare. Like the only people I know that come close to that, or like the people that have done that before Ye, is Ghost and Raekwon with their skits. So that was kind of like a callback to them, and I know he was very inspired by them as well. But yeah,
MF Doom or not?
MF Doom. So again, like this is like I didn't get into Doom until like a couple years like after that. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the skits are funny and like they actually move the narrative along, right?
Yes.
They're not just randomly placed, which kind of is a pet peeve of mine in a lot of like nowadays. So like albums that are just throwing a bunch of skits. I'm like, what's the purpose for this?
Mm-hmm. Nowadays
something
most skits kind of suck.
They do.
Majority of skits do suck.
I think something about the skits that I think Kanye's, like when we think about the fact that Paris and I think all of us have had this discussion really where like concept albums and albums with like a streamlined narrative are kind of like just really having a foundation around this time. I feel like thinking about the way that these skits like move the narrative along is done really well, and like seeing this project as something that's cohesive and it's all like tied together is very different than like maybe albums 5 years before this one, or even 4 years before this one. So it's interesting to see. I like the skits, but I do skip some of them. So
no, that's
like
fair.
After a while, I'm just like, yeah, I'm good.
I think it's also like incredibly authentic of him for like them to be funny, right? Like, which just shows like Kanye's sense of humor, which again, like you'll find like he does Dave Chappelle, like, so he's in these spaces that are like kind of fueling him to kind of add this to the album. So it's right on brand.
No, and I think it just it speaks to who he's in the room with again, because he had DeRay Davis in there, and that's the dude that does the skits. Mm-hmm. So like he's the guy that's narrating the album. And you guys probably know DeRay. He was on Snowfall. I forgot the character's name, but he was on Snowfall.
Peaches.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that when I initially heard that, I thought it was Bernie Mac.
Nah, it's DeRay Davis.
But it's crazy because he's
inspired.
Yes, and I'm like,
hilarious.
Yeah.
that makes sense. I'm like, he's definitely inspired. Okay, but I'll share like my like first thoughts on the album. Yeah, so it came out in 2004. What was funny was like I was definitely one of those kids that used to go to sleep with Music Choice on, and used to like wake up with MTV and BET.
Facts.
Like I religiously, like my mom knew to come in our rooms when she would tell us to go to bed. She would be like, "Put your music on and go to sleep." Like she already knew our routine, so like me and all my siblings would do that. And I remember I used to watch a lot of BET and MTV with my father. And I mean, I had an older sister, I had a lot of older sisters actually, and they were always watching BET and MTV. And I remember Locked Up by Akon came out in like April of 2004.
Also a funny video.
Yeah. I loved that song. I love that song especially because, and then actually, Jesus Walks hit like May 2004, so they were back to back, and I loved these songs so much, and especially because at the time my father had gotten arrested, like just gotten arrested like a year before that, on my birthday, May 11th, which is so funny. So I remember when Akon dropped that song, like I was just coming off of like Sierra, like Not My Goodie, like My Goodies, and like all of this like Usher's Yeah, like all of this like really like fun, like upbeat music, and then all of a sudden like music on MTV and BET like started becoming like, or at least I started becoming way more politically aware. And then of course everything that was happening in the country at the time, there was this shift. You know, we always have that moment in music where music is like sending a particular message. And I remember like going from Locked Up to then seeing Jesus Walks on MTV, where I was just like, whoa, especially an activity that I used to do a lot with my dad. My dad was a dope boy and he really loved it. He was such an immigrant though, like Dominican immigrant, like chopped up English, but like really loved hip hop, R&B, soul music. And I always listened to so much of that with him. So I just remember like having that moment where I was just like, whoa, my TV is like talking to me about shit that's like real now. That's like, and definitely that's when I started tapping into Jesus Walks. And then I think like the next year or something, then you get Testify by Common.
Yeah,
and
wow.
I just like there was just so much back to back. I don't know when Lil Wayne's The Sweetest Girl by Lil Wayne,
2006.
and then you also have Runaway Love by Mary J. Like those
2006
songs,
too.
Jesus Walks included, like are burned in my memory.
Yeah.
And I felt like definitely really attracted to the Jesus Walks. I was just like, whoa, like this gospel track that he's rapping over, I was like, literally, I'm like, whoa, am I saved? Like, I think I'm saved. Like, actually, I think that I'm holy now. It felt very healing. Like, it was definitely speaking to a deeper part of myself. But listening to this album now, like as an adult, it's so different, you know, because I was never like a Kanye head as a child. So getting into it now, especially being like a really big Slum Village, Jay Dilla fan, and all these incredible producers, and listening to Kanye is just being like, God damn, like he's just so talented, you know what I mean?
I can't tell you the first time that I listened to this album.
Why not?
I don't know. It's just one of those albums that perfect layup. It's one of those albums that just perfectly, musically perfectly into like who you are in your music DNA, right? Because it's, you know, and I'm not, I know we said off the record, you know, we're not going to throw shade at other artists, but sometimes there's albums that come out that the production of all the songs, they don't feel like they're meant to be together. But Kanye with the College Dropout, with Late Registration, with Graduation, but you know, obviously this is the beginning of it all. It's just like, God damn it, this guy cooked. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah, that's my first thoughts, my first impressions, and it'll always be my first impression. Because when I came back to this album after it was picked, I was like, no way it's that good. As good as I remember it. It simply cannot be. Like, you look at the track list, you're like, there's so many skits. There's it's over an hour long. Like, it's just nostalgia that's making me think it's better than what it is. And I listened to it, I was like, he got me. It is that good.
Back-to-back skits. I've never also seen that before. Like, to have back-to-back skits is very bold.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I can go next. I think I'm the last one. Yeah, so at a similar kind of like similar but different in terms of like musical palette and upbringing as Paris, where like I was exposed to a lot of like gangster hip hop when I was younger. And granted, the first time I heard Kanye was when I was 9. So it's not like I have like a plethora of memories before then to pick from. But in terms of I was what I was listening to before that. There was a lot of Jay-Z, and pretty much everything my brother listened to, I just listened to because he had a CD player, and so it's like I just borrowed a CD player and listened to whatever he had. And besides that, the only weird people I was into, which shaped my life before Kanye, was Outkast, because, you know, Southern roots and shit. But when I first saw Kanye, I had the opposite reaction. It literally, like, rewrote my DNA. I can't even tell you. Like, it was the first time I heard Through the Wire, I've never heard some shit like that. And this is somebody that heard Blueprint before, and I don't know what it was, like, the way he rapped. I was watching it on BET with my brother. I'll never forget the day I first heard Through the Wire, and I was like, yo, what is this? This shit is crazy. I'm like 9. What the fuck is this? Like, what are you talking about? Like, and I remember my brother got it. And my dad bought the CD too. My dad doesn't listen to hip hop like that, but he was just like, my dad liked Jesus Walks. And so between my brother and my dad's albums, I would just go back and hear it over and over and over again. That was one of the first big album experiences. Now, that's not the first album I owned. The first album I owned was Chingy. But the first album I connected with that was quote unquote my own, it felt like my own, was College Dropout. And I remember just going through it. I would read the the lining notes to get the lyrics, and I would try to memorize all the lyrics of the songs. Even like Twist's verses, and like, which was really hard to do.
I did that too, bro.
Because I was like before y'all met me, some of y'all who knew me way back then probably know, but I used to have a really bad stutter, like a really bad stutter. So it was really hard to get to the twist of rhymes and anything, really.
Was it a tongue twister?
Get out.
ISTA.
So good.
But yeah, man, like this album did like so much for me. It really changed my way of thinking. It made me feel like I belonged. Like I now remember is like one thing Kanye said was, you know, I'm making this album, you know, to, you know, talk about what you went through last week or some shit like that. And he pretty much what he said. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but like I felt like, yeah, I mean, I'm too young to understand what it is to, like, you know, have like a grave shift and, like, you know, some of this other stuff like that. But like I feel like I understand because, you know, my brother and my cousins go through stuff like this and they talk to me about it and everything. Like I remember like, yeah, hearing like Jesus Walks, I remember and just having that experience. I was in a Catholic school and I had a really religious upbringing, so I remember like being really attached to that. Slow Jams was the second song I ever heard from the album, and I remember that was like, all right, this is special. Like, this is a really special song. And I was a big Jimmy Fox fan as a kid too and everything, so it was just perfect. And I just like, yeah, I loved every song. Like the only song I didn't like was Breathe In, Breathe Out, which to this day I skip automatically. But besides that, like the skits, everything, it's like burned in my memory. Like I return this album like twice a year, and every time I hear it, it transports me back to being a kid, watching 106 in Park and like watching BET and just like listening to Kanye for the first time. And like it's like really special. Like it felt like I had a big brother that I didn't know of. Like I would just look at his interviews, I would be inspired by the way he dressed, the way he talked, like the way he carried himself, and just be like, I want to be just like that. And that was essentially me for like a good amount of my childhood, essentially.
I think like it's something interesting like to hear this album like when it first came out. So like for those like that are born in like early 90s, right? Like we were kids, right? So like there's a lot of themes in this about like adolescence, family, God, right? So on and so forth, that I think is interesting to connect to at that time. And it's very different to listen to it like 22 years later, right? So like I think when you first hear this album, like you are the youth, right? So like it sounds like somebody is speaking for you. And specifically like working in higher ed, like I think the discourse around this album can 100% be studied, right? Especially when you talk about like from the moment that the album starts to the moment that it ends, right? Like it's just incredibly special. Yeah, so yeah, no, I think that's like, and funny enough, like the first thing I thought about when this album came out was like the looting at Bay Plaza, which is kind of crazy. Like I know that sounds wild, right? But like the looting at Bay Plaza literally like popped into my brain when We Don't Care came out, and I'm like, this is insane. Like they need to hear the College Dropout. Like they really need to hear this. Like yo, Kanye has spoken about this.
Heard College Dropout before?
Yo. Like Kanye was talking about this 22 years ago, right? Like this is insane, right? But yeah, like some of the themes like are whatchamacallit, they continuously are functional, excuse me. And I love an album that ends up growing with you, right, rather than growing away from you. I love an album that grows with you. So like, yeah, nah, when I first heard this, like, it was nice to have a different perspective and be older and still enjoy the project. Just to give you guys a heads up, I'm probably gonna go through the gauntlet of questions and whatnot, just because it's Ye and this is his first album. So we're gonna go to Standout Tracks, but like there's some additional questions that are also here. But yeah, go ahead. You guys could share Standout Tracks, things that kind of resonated with you.
Sure. I'm gonna speak for my adult self. I'm not gonna speak for the past, but like revisiting this album and even listening to it as I'll just maybe share like when I was like 25 onward, but like hearing Spaceships, like, oh my God, like as a dude that I did not have a corporate job at the time, and I was actually working retail. Everybody here knows that I was at J. Crew for like 5 years, so like. Hearing that song on days you didn't want to go to work, bro. Like, first of all, I heard that song as a kid, but when you're in it, you hear that fucking song.
Oh yeah, we love Paris. Okay. Put them all in the front of this,
bro. Like, I was like praying. It was like that. It was the skit. Like, I'll fly away into Spaceships. I would play that shit every day, and even graduation day. Like, I'll play that. Like, just I'm about to break the rules. Like, I would hear that, and that would be my mantra to get the fuck up out of there. So, Spaceships as an adult hits so different. Another song I want to say, Family Business. That song, I think, obviously, like when I first heard it, like obviously, like I told you guys, I didn't really like the album like that. But then when I heard it after hearing like Registration, yeah, that just reminds me of like my family, just in general. Like we used to do all of that, especially if you're black families. Like you just get together for Christmas and Thanksgiving, and there would be the times you would sleep in the bed with your cousins and like mad at them and all that, and then everybody be all in your space. But I look back on those times as an adult, and those were great times, man. Like sure, like we didn't have much, but like we had each other, and that's one thing I do miss is my family. I don't really have a close connection with them, which is unfortunate. So that song does kind of hit me in my heartstrings nowadays. So that's just a special track to me. And then Two Words. I want to shout out Two Words. It's just wordplay wise. Like, wow. I think that song is very underrated in my opinion in his discography. I think as one of the best lyrical exercises in like the whole album, in my opinion. Just because every line is like saying two words literally. And I love Freeway's line, and I might butcher this. He said, "Turn y'all niggas to 2 words, fast runners." Like that's like one of the coldest bars on the album to me. But yeah, that song. So I said Spaceships, Family Business, and of course, Never Let Me Down. That's the last one I'll say. Man, Jay Ivy, like that poet, he went crazy on that little like interlude part, man. Like Jay-Z's verse is amazing.
Amazing.
Like literally his outro verse gives me goosebumps. It gives me the power to do the craziest task I could do. It gives me the confidence to like do whatever I need to do. So like those are my like I like a lot of B-sides a lot on that album, more so than the hits, which I'll let you guys like highlight because those are important too. But I want to highlight those B-sides because I think they're very important to not only Kanye's career but to music in general, and of course into my life as well.
Okay, word, I'll go next. Standout tracks for me, definitely Spaceships as well. Like I remember I was like on a big like Jill Scott Heron tip like in 2017 or something, and then I came around to like listening to Kanye's discography as an adult, and I remember like listening to Spaceships, listening to Jesus Walks, like that run, that back to back, and really I'll Fly Away, Spaceships, Jesus Walks, like, and just feeling like so seen. Also working 3 jobs, like nannying, working in retail, like living in like the worst like conditions, but also like just feeling very seen, and listening to that and just realizing like, oh my God, like the fact that I could play the instrumentals to these songs and they would hit just the same, and then adding those bars on top, is just incredible. Personally too, like besides Spaceships, I really love Last Call. Like the beat, the bars, everything about that just feels so much about the time, I feel like it's just very exemplary of the time. It reminds me, it was just very nostalgic to hear that kind of production. I think it's because it reminded me of my dad, for sure. And then slow jams, probably one of my favorite beats on the entire album. I think it's everything that I love from like a soul sample, and I feel like Kanye is like goated for that for sure.
Yo, actually, I was gonna ask a question regarding slow jams. Y'all prefer the music video version that was on Twista's album, or the College Dropout version in terms of the outro?
There's something about the album version that I just hold dear to, but I do like the music video version because, again, I think like Flo was saying, like coming home after school, get ready for dinner, you get Rap City on, then 106 in Park, so like. That also, I might have to see. You know what? The music video version, I'm gonna go with that.
The music video version is fire, right?
Yeah, just because the sentimental value of like, I just remember like getting home from school.
Damn, I'm trying to play something for the ladies. One of my I think like listening to it now, like one of my favorite songs that I kept coming back to was "Get 'Em High." I think one of my favorite parts about this song is like. That and also like New Workout Plan is a little skit like in between. Oh my god, Talib Kweli lyrics stick to your ribs, like that little female voice, like that. It just goes so well with the beat, and you don't expect.
Play at my crib. I mean, you don't really know why'd you lie?
Yo, that is such a
lay down track.
Yo,
When he comes in like, fine.
Yo,
if you want me to help you get laid, fuck it.
it's such like it just adds to like the cinematography of the entire album. Like I love when you bring in like skits and like different voices. Like it, like that's one of my favorite songs of all time.
I'm not gonna lie, retrospect is everything, but the idea of like, clapping cheeks because Talib Kweli.
Yeah, it's fire.
Can I say?
Talib Kweli.
That's 2004.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw. Like, I'll just say this real quick about Talib Kweli. He obviously, you guys know that Ye had to say a lot of words about him at Drink Champs. I found out. Well, Ye admitted to being like an anti-backpack rapper. During this whole thing, and I was like, damn, man. Like, he's like, I'm not. I actually wasn't being a backpack rapper at all. I actually didn't like any of y'all music like that. Like, I was a street hip hop fan the entire time.
Wow,
that is crazy. So like, him and Talib do not see eye to eye at all. So that's very
insane.
ironic.
That's insane. I think to Joelle's point, like Last Call is also an incredible mixture of just like really good rapping and storytelling.
All 12 something song are just gold.
I think that was the first song I ever heard that was like 12 minutes of just somebody rapping and then talking at the end. Like, I was like, wow, to put that on an album is like just so pure and authentic. And then I was talking a little bit about like just the discourse about we don't care. Like, oh my goodness, like from sending somebody to college with drug money, right, all the way to just discourse about students with disabilities when in fact like we're just poor. like we just like are poor. We're not stupid, like we're just poor. Like, so it's really really good to hear, and it's really refreshing, right? So like whether it's political or not, like it's actually like a really good, amazing song. But yeah,
that song is hilarious because I missed the 12 questions bar.
Yeah.
I cried laughing when I heard this shit.
50 Cent song, 12 questions.
That's so fucked up.
Nah, like that. Yeah, nah. Those three are definitely up there for me.
For me, "Never Let Me Down" was the first hip hop song I ever heard that like moved me to the core, and it still does every time. Like, that song just makes me feel empowered and like, like I'm worth everything and I can do whatever I want to do, right? And that song still gets me in that headspace. And so like that song stands out to me like for all of time. Like, I love that song so much. Last Call, like we were talking about before, I love the storytelling. I listen to all 12 minutes. I don't just listen to it for the song part. I don't know if you guys do too. Spaceships, After I'll Fly Away. Man, it's like it's like a daydream, like just bursting, and then you're back in real life. Like shit, I gotta go back to work. And that's definitely universal. We could all relate to that. And I think finally, I would say, All Falls Down.
Yeah.
Great,
100%.
This is one of the albums where I don't have it like set in stone like I usually do with historical albums. I think like Slow Jams never changed for me just because of the sentimental value that it holds to me, and then like Through the Wire. But to like not count those and talk about like, you know, the songs I've grown to appreciate even more than I already did is definitely like New Workout Plan. I mean, one is hilarious. Like, you know, you get yourself an NBA player, a rapper, shit, at least a dude with a car, and then like the skits at the end, and then it's like such like experience of a song because it's like a good song at first, and he's rapping and he's like, you know, talking from this workout plan, you know, concept, and it's very well written in terms of like trying to get you to work out and shit, but like making jokes about it. And then it gets to that little like skit break, you know, when the women talk about everything Kanye did for them. It's like, thank you, Kanye, woo. Like,
Roll the plane. Roll the plane.
Thanks to Kanye, I could date outside the family and all that shit. And then it goes into like
that shit kills me.
It's hilarious.
And it goes into like a beat break where it's like, that's right, put in where like no rapping, just like a dance break. And then it just, and then the outro goes into like the whole shit. Yeah, it just
is crazy.
Yeah, I just love that. It's such an experience in one song. The other song I've grown to appreciate over the past few years is definitely like Family Business. I really love it because if you ever grown up in that kind of family dynamic, especially like, you know, as a young black man, you know what I'm saying, like you all the things he was talking about in terms of like, you know, roaches in their crib like they're your first cousins and shit, and like, yo, don't tell my girl I used to pee in the bed and all that shit like that, like joking with your cousins and shit, and then wishing not to have to see you across a glass. Like it's just like all that stuff is stuff that I've experienced and can relate to. We must have peed in the bed thing, but like yeah, but but like, you know, like that's a song that really sticks out to me, you know, on an emotional level. And then I have to say, like as I got older, like definitely like Spaceships, like definitely like really resonated with me because I like the song just because it was a fire song, but I didn't get a chance to really relate to it until I worked with a bunch of like corporate motherfuckers, and like I was just like, yo, I really feel like I'm working a grave shift, like, you know what I'm saying, like it's like
a sleesh.
like, you know, if my manager assaults me again, I will be assaulted. I can rap that whole song like word for word, but I feel it now. It's more than just a song to me, and it just like it goes back to what Kanye said, you know, that I was making these songs to talk about what you went through last week, and like everything he's talking about in this album feels like something that's grounded in reality. And then of course, All Falls Down is in my top 5 Kanye songs. Like, but again, I can't mention that. That's like too biased.
Wait, real quick about Family Business. I think that's the one song that like revisiting this album now in my 30s is an entirely different like lens, right? Because like I feel like when we heard this in 2004, 2000, whatever, we could all relate to the sentiment of like, you know, holidays and stuff with your cousins and all that. But like experiencing like loss, like the loss of a loved one, and just experiencing that like that vacancy during the holidays is like, well, I hope we didn't understand that, you know, back then, but definitely at this point that we've gone through all these lives of experiences, and everybody can relate to that.
Yeah, you know what's funny about Family Business? The only reason why I don't have it like up there for me is because of Ghostface Killer. All I got is you. Like that's the only reason why, because those two songs are like very, very similar, neck and neck. Even like with the 2 at the front, 2 at the head, with like even that bar right there, like it's they reflect each other. So yeah, I'd say that. I think I had like some just additional context just about the documentary. I think one of the special things about like this album is like there's so much content around the creation of this project. And as I was watching the documentary, what became very apparent to me was like Kanye's greatest gift is not just as like as a sampler, as a rapper, right? I think he's like a phenomenal composer as well. Like he is elevated by the people who he has on his album. And I think it's something that like the more you dig into his discography, like you could tell that he's heavily influenced by the people that are around him as he's creating the project, right? He may have a concept, an idea about where he wants to go, but the people that he brings in elevates him as an artist. And you can see that with this album, Late Registration, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, so on and so forth, right? So there's a lot of like whatchamacallit, a lot of truth to that for sure. Even he says it, right? Like, call him Qualia, I put him on songs with Jay-Z. I'm the Gap, like Banana Republic and Old Navy. And put it together. Ooh, sounds sweet. Yeah, that's just like.
Yeah, that's and that's why I do love Ye, because I love his music is because he was able to do that. Like he continued. That was his DNA. Like he would take people who don't belong on songs together, and he would make something like unique. Like fast forward to Yeezus, he took Bon Iver and Chief Keef on one song. That had nobody thought of that.
That's insane.
Nobody ever thought of things like that. So
and the fact that I think one of the most important parts about his creative process is that he really believes in it. You know what I mean? Like, he knows what he's making is fire. And specifically in this situation, his first ever lead single was Through the Wire, and he banked on himself. And that's one of my favorite songs on the whole album. And it's just like the thing that stood out to me the most, even though the production is crazy, of course, it's sample and everything, but when he started rapping, that flow, that cadence, it was in my head.
Yeah.
I drank a boost for breakfast and insure for dessert. Somebody ordered pancakes, I just sipped the scissor. You know what I mean? Like, we all know that joint word for word because the way that he delivered it, but he banked on himself with his jaw wired shut after the accident. Was like, nah, I'm still putting this out, and it's gonna be my first single because I know that it's fire. And throughout his career, musically, for the most part, he's always like believed in the creativity of what is being put together. And I think that's one of the things about his music that I appreciate the most. You know what I mean? Like, he never doubted his creativeness. And to Zeus's point earlier, sometimes to a fault, because he's such a perfectionist that there's so many things that we have never heard, so many albums that he was supposed to drop that never came out, and so on and so forth. But he's never stopped creating because he always believes that he has, what it takes to move forward musically. I mean, anything he put his mind to, really, he's one of the most creative people we've ever seen in our lives, at least. So, that's something for him to career-wise, definitely hang his hat on.
For sure.
I think a good story to like go listen to, based off like what Flo and Paris were saying about Ye being very confident in what he's doing, is the story that Jamie Foxx tells about them recording Gold Digger, and how like Jamie was trying to sing it soulful, and Ye was like, no, just do it the way I just told you to do it. And I'm not gonna reveal how Jamie tells the whole story, but go back and watch it. I think it was like a late night interview, and it's just the most hilarious thing ever.
I think I saw a short clip of it on IG, but I'm gonna look it up again because that sounds very Kanye when it comes to his personality.
All right. In terms of replay value, is this something that you will return to or revisit? And is it low, medium, or high for you?
It's a high replay value. Always has been. I think. I don't even know. I just feel weird answering that question in terms of the only thing that makes. I'm not gonna go into that. Never mind.
No, go ahead.
It's the only thing that drops the replay value is the person he eventually became, which we're not gonna open that can of worms. But yeah, I think this is something that, like, maybe not as a whole body of work I revisit often, but you can bet that there's, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 songs from here that play on the regular, like in different playlists and different kind of like moods and things like that. So have to give it a high replay value.
I will say this album is, it's a moment in music history, like I alluded to earlier, and it's something that you have to go back to every once in a while to remember, like, how impactful it is, right? You have to go back to it and really ingratiate yourself in this album because it is, a moment in time Now, I will say the skits do work in the album, but it does drop the replay value a little bit because it's like, all right, I want to get to the tracks. You know what I mean? As a composition, it works, but when you're going back, it's like, okay, come on, I want to hear what I want to hear, right? But yeah, terrific album.
This
Will
album is
come
like
back.
it's a canon event in music
Yeah,
history.
that's exactly.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. 2004, yeah, absolutely.
I'll follow up, and I feel the opposite, twin. I'm sorry, because I look forward to the skits every time.
It's okay. It's
Every
okay.
time. And it's funny because I think this is the only album that I actually listen to and I laugh multiple times, like while I'm listening to it. But while taking it seriously, you know, like I'm not laughing at. It's because the skits are actually funny. But yeah, him being a person aside, this album for me, again, we spoke about how much I thought it had importance for me personally, but overall, just for music, this gets a high replay value for me because of just the landscape that shaped after this album and the album's impact and him as an artist, and then so many branches that came out of that Kanye West tree. Yeah, man. So it gets a high replay value.
Yeah, for me, I mean, as I said earlier, I return to it like pretty much like every year. It's a very important album to my life. It's like more of an album to me. I feel like everybody that's ever been like a music head has those like musical album, like those albums are like moments for you rather than just like, you know, just being an album you throw on streaming and you throw it in the background as a vibe or something like that. This is like a moment for me that impacted me at such a young age. I don't know who I would be if I didn't hear this album at the time I did. Like, you never know. You're that young and that impressionable. So yeah, I'm always gonna return like to this album and like, you know, like the first three, like the school trilogy and everything, the graduation trilogy. I always find new things I like about it. Watching the documentary kind of recontextualize a lot of his songs for me to make me appreciate it more. The more I learned about it and the more time I gotten away from it, it's funny enough, the more I relate to it as I got older. Because like, you know, he made his album when he was like, you know, 24, 25, 26, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like you don't really get to really feel this until like you're a lot older. When you're younger, it's just really good music. But as you get older, it's like, this dude's spitting, bro. It's very rare you hear somebody of I mean, granted he was still up and coming, but you hear somebody of his caliber and his position talk about some shit you can actually relate to. You know, I'm not somebody that needs to relate to an album to get value out of it, but this is one of the first times I heard an album and I was like, yo, I can see myself here.
So real quick, the replay value for me, I feel like, again, it's just a time capsule of something that would eventually be a huge moment in time. So basically, this album to me, I think it does have high replay value. Obviously, like this was one of the biggest moments in music history. And showed that, you know, obviously like the conscious rap was always there, but everything that came with it, like the style, fashion, the theatrics, everything that like came with this album helped shape the future of hip hop in general. So I think that's why, again, it has such a high, not only a high rating for me, but also a high replay value. Obviously, like in the recent times, I haven't really gone to it as much as I'd like to, for reasons that are the reasons. But yeah, I think that still this is such an important body of work. And in terms of like lyrical abilities, I think this is like top tier lyrical Kanye. And for him to come out the gates with that is insane. Obviously, the production I feel like definitely improved with each album passing, but the lyrical side of Kanye I think really shines bright here, and it's honestly a incredible album. You know, I don't know if we did ratings or anything, but you know, I think it's, you know, it's high up there. So.
Yeah, this is my favorite Kanye album of all time. Like, it's my favorite. Yeah, the College Dropout is my favorite album. Like, I remember us having a conversation about like this or Late Registration, and then I went back to listen to Late Registration. I was like, oh yeah, like this is insane. Like this is also great. I just found myself resonating more, right? Like it's really a toss up, whichever one you choose. You could easily tell like the late registration is like a build up off of College Dropout. So whatever he didn't use for College Dropout, he ended up using for late registration and just built off of that. But yeah, for this is like it hits every single time. Like I don't think there's ever I'm listening to this and it's a miss, right? Even Breathe In and Breathe Out, like it's just comical. Like
I hate that song, bro. I probably haven't heard that song in like 20 years. I'm not even gonna hold you, bro.
You don't know how to have fun.
It's that one in School Spirit. Like School Spirit, I could like I could do away with that song.
What?
Yeah, I could do away with School Spirit. Yeah, right.
Is it because of the censoring?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
You had to censor the song because Aretha Franklin wouldn't clear the sample if you didn't use profanity.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was listening to it. I was like, yo, why does this sound
that's the
clean?
only-
Yeah, it's only clean song.
Oh, really? Because I was like, is there like why is this a thing? And then I never really bothered to look it up.
Yeah,
I just
she said you had to
Yeah.
use profanity if you want to clear the sample, and they really want to use that sample.
So there's no like dirty version out there, is it?
a
Like
dirty
on
version
YouTube?
leaked out like literally like 5 years ago. It's been
Wow.
in my chamber for like 20 years. But like she originally heard the dirty version, and then she was like, "No, I'm not gonna clear if you have cussing on it." So that's why like he took the cursing off. That's why it sounded like some Donda shit.
Yeah. I mean,
Proto Donda.
Also like I have Drunken Hot Girls is like one of the worst songs.
No, you're okay.
Worst Kanye songs. Like Drunken Hot Girls is terrible.
You know what happens to people that turn off my mic and say that Drunken Hot Girls is a bad song? You just made the list.
Oh God. But nah, this is high for me. And my rating for this is a 9 out of 10. Like if I'm being honest, like it is a 9 out of 10 for me.
This is your favorite Kanye album, and you're giving him a 9 out of 10.
Yo, like there's rarely like album. Nah, I hear you. I did this last time with No Name. Like it's great. Like these are great. These are great projects. Yeah, I don't know.
What is your criteria? Just really quickly.
Honestly,
you
know what? I'll push you to a 10 because you know it's crazy. I like this album. I like this album better than To Pimp a Butterfly. And To Pimp a Butterfly I have as a 10. Like I know that may sound crazy, but I like this album better than To Pimp a Butterfly. So my thing is like there's a laser focus on exactly what Kanye is trying to do here, right? There is artistry involved, but it's very direct. Like I like there's certain things that when you talk about it, like you want to talk about it in a very direct way. When you talk about Black culture, you talk about it in a very direct way. And even a lot of the discourse that we had in the room already, right, was literally about specific experiences that we can have in our lives that we can connect to, right? When it comes to Pimp a Butterfly, it gets coded around in a lot of artistry, which I love, right? Because it's abstract, but also there's certain things that like it just sounds better when it's delivered straightforward. Okay. Right, when I could resonate and connect with it, right? Whether that's having a job that you hate, right? Whether it's education, whether it's not being listened to as a kid, right? Whether it's family, right? A lot of those topics resonate with you a lot more purely than something that may be a little bit more abstract. Right. That is one of the main reasons why I like I have it a notch. Those two are probably like in my top 5 of all time. Right. To Pimp a Butterfly and The College Dropout. Right. So like they're neck and neck as far as like what they're trying to do.
That's a great perspective, though. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I'm not mad at it. I don't agree, but I'm not.
Nah, that's fine. That's fine.
I understand 100%.
Yeah, that's fine.
That was a great way to put it. I'm not gonna lie.
I like them for the same reasons. It depends on like what you're talking about in the delivery. Right. So if we're leaning more towards artsy and abstract, like I'm going to choose To Pimp a Butterfly. If we're leaning towards direct and personal connection and relatability and whatnot, like, and everything else is all encompassing, like, all right, like I'm going to choose The College Dropout.
No, but I understand that. Like, so a lot of people have problems with like super high concept albums, and like that's completely fair because like I'm somebody that really respects when it's done well, but like I can also, as I grew older, because I was younger, I was like, what the fuck you mean you don't understand, you don't like lyricism or fast albums. But as I got older, I'm like, not everybody wants to like, comb over a piece of art to like understand it multiple times and go through a codex and look stuff up, and that's perfectly fine because of the people that do. And everybody likes what they like. So some people like a more direct message. Some people don't like deep music at all, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people just like music just to make them feel good. So it's like everybody has their own reasons for like connecting with a piece of art, and I understand, and the way you put it was very well. And I think that's the reason why everybody has different favorite Kanye albums. Because different Kanye albums, some Kanye albums are very direct. Some of them are a lot more like like dissonant, like you're like you don't really feel like you understand him, or you're trying to peek in to his psyche and everything, and it's like they both have value. Yeah, in that regard.
Agreed.
So what would you rate it?
I would.
He's like, that's cool, bud.
That's cool. What's the number? All right, like I have a hard time rating this album because I have.
Here we go.
No, because like I have a nostalgic. I'm a very like when it comes to art, very critical person. You know, everybody that knows me knows that. But like for this album, I have like the really deep rooted like what it did for me.
Yeah.
And so for that, it's like a classic, like beautiful body of work that I would have to give like a personal like 10, 11 to because of what it did for me. But from like a more critical lens, like it's not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like because again, like breathe in, breathe out, bro. Like I'm like I can have an album where, you know what I'm saying, I have like an inherent like biological reaction to skip a song and say that like, you know, every song is like a 10 out of 10. So I have to give it like critically closer to like a 9. But in terms of like my personal, like how I feel about it, it's a 10. It's just like in terms of like,
Just split the difference. This is 9.5.
No. Critically, it's a 9. Like critically for me, it's a 9.
Yeah, what is your score? We want to know what. I'm not even on. They turn my mic off.
Nah, you on the air.
Oh, okay.
You were live.
What is? That's yeah. What's your score though, bro? Because we want to know like what your personal.
No. Like when I hear the album, it's like there is a song I skip.
It's a 10.
No.
It's a 10, bro.
No, because I can't give an album a 10.
Why can't you give it, Matt? You can give an album.
No. I'm saying I'm just being like fair to how I think about albums. There's other albums where if I would skip 2 songs, I'm not gonna be like it's a 10. Because I have to give every album now. I like most of the songs a 10 because if I skip a song. So it's like it's critically like to me personally. If I didn't have that attachment to Kanye, I'd probably give it like close to a 9. It's still like absolutely like great in many ways. It's just that like I have that personal attachment. There's a lot of albums like that I don't think are 10s at all critically, but like I have an attachment to them, if that makes sense.
We'll take this chat offline.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I still don't know what your score is, but
I said 9.
Oh, 9. All right.
Yeah, I kept saying 9.
Because then you kept saying, but I give it a 10.
No, I said personally. Personally, like in my heart, like I have like a like you know.
There's an emotional attachment and connection to the album. Yeah.
But like if I were to rate this at all, like as a journalist, something like that, I would give it like a 9.
Okay. Wait, I didn't give my rating. So for
Damn,
I'm sorry, brother. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good. You can go, bro.
All right. Because I'd said like the things about it, but I didn't really give it a number. I'll honestly give this album like an 8. Like that's my score. I think. No, I'm lying. I give this like a 9, easily a 9. For replay value, as of now, like maybe an 8.5 or maybe a 7. But yeah.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yo, we are confusing these scores. Hi,
Replay value. I said replay value.
Replay. So
yeah, I said
your score is a 9.
My score is a 9, and the replay value as of now is a 7.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it was just high, medium, low. Oh, that's why I was confused. I thought it was just like high, medium.
That's what I had it as, like high, medium, low. It just sounds better.
Yeah, it sounds better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Number on replay value.
Yeah.
I was confused. All right. Yeah, I'm giving it a 9 as well. I think that it's no. I mean, these have all been strong scores. Like the lowest score being
a 9. Really, a 9? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he gave it a 9. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like this, it's not perfect. I do think he has 10 albums, but this is just so strong that I can't see anything lower than a 9 in my opinion.
I second that. It's a 9. That's it.
Y'all get on me for like having a 9, and y'all all chose 9. Y'all ain't shit.
Notice I ain't say nothing.
Y'all ain't shit.
Notice I ain't say nothing, bro.
I didn't go.
Go ahead, Leo.
No, but like
this album is a formidable 10.
Okay. Now I don't feel bad.
that here's what everybody's saying, and then he's like, "I'm gonna go the other direction."
No.
Such a contrarian.
Is his first release.
Yeah.
You have to understand that.
Yeah.
This album is his first release, and he changed the course of music with it. And if that does not require a 10, Voodoo? I don't know what
pass
does.
to Leo.
Voodoo?
I don't know what does.
Voodoo?
Voodoo was the second. And
I mean, I guess, but
yeah, I mean those are my thoughts on the album. I mean, this thing is Like Zeus is talking about he skips one track out of a 21 track album.
Yeah.
And so he needs to knock it down a few pegs. My brother in Christ, that's less than 5% of the album. You know what I mean?
21 tracks is being generous because four of the tracks are skits.
Our skits.
Yeah, so it's close to like 15 tracks, and I skip like one song.
That's
like,
still incredible.
Yeah, that's still a great album. Like a nine to me is like an absolute great, like stellar. I'll always return to a body of work.
This is like a Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? This is a Hall of Fame album. You know, when they talk about who goes into the NFL Hall of Fame, it's like, can you tell the history of the league without this moment? And you cannot tell the history of music without the College Dropout.
Modern music,
An event.
Yeah.
An event.
I agree.
And with that, I want to thank you for listening to today's episode. Join us next week when we will be discussing
Man on the Move. End of day.
by Kid Cudi.
The first one, right?
Yes, the first one.
So Harley, what are your ideal listening conditions?
Oof.
High as fuck.
It's yes. I mean, listen to this at night. Indulge in some whatever substance of choice you prefer.
Yeah, like water or some fruit snacks.
Stay hydrated. Some
Get high on life.
Yeah, get high on life. Whatever, everything. I'd say nighttime. Go for a nighttime walk. Listen to this, and just enjoy the ride.
Can I listen day or night?
You can. You can.
And with that, I want to say good night. And remember, don't consume music. Let music consume you.